Okay.
Okay, there you go. You are live, dear.
All right, here we go. For those of you who weren't on last week, my name is Heidi Appling. I'm a regional vice president. My background is in pharmacy. I've been a pharmacist for 25 years now. And also recently did a year's worth of curriculum to become integrative nutrition health coach, which means I do not just food, but integrate, all kinds of things to help people make healthy habits for life is really what I'd like to do. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And, what we want to talk about are things for both consultants and your clients right now, because you're going to have a mix of both, I know, on this call. If you're doing the 30-day clean eating, healthy living detox program, this is going to help you. If you are curious about it, you're checking it out, this is going to help you. It's great to understand your body so that you can give it what it needs, right? So one of the things that both Carlita and I have trained on in the past is from a book, and it's called The 7 Pillars of Health. And it's by a doctor named Don Colbert. And it's a great book. And he talks about all of these. And I would highly recommend that you get that book. He's going to go into much more detail into all of these. And we've talked about a couple of these. Last week, we talked about, food. And the first week, Carlita talked about food, clean eating, and what that means. We talked about detoxification with the liver a lot last week. This week, I want to touch on sleep and rest, exercise, and then stress. And then at the end, I'm just going to have a few slides to go over how important it is to make your gut healthy with probiotics and prebiotics, okay? So that second pillar of sleep and rest, most people have no idea how important this is for them. As a pharmacist who worked 50, 60 hours a week, I didn't sleep very much. I was one of those people that said, I just am a night owl. I don't need very much sleep. And that is a lie. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And when you don't get that sleep, it's not only going to hurt your health and all your organs, it actually can affect your weight loss as well. So it's during those precious hours of sleep when your body shuts down, it actually repairs itself. That's when your immune system recharges. All day long, it's going. And that's the time when you recharge, just like your phone. Your phone has to be recharged, right? Your body has to be recharged. And when we recharge our phone, it has to be plugged in for a certain amount of time. Or if we unplug it too quickly, then the next day we're going to run out of power, basically. And it's not just fatigue. The whole system runs out of power. So we need that recharge. Your major organs are also restored. And you know what the word restore means? To put it back to where it's supposed to be after the day is gone. So we need that. We need especially our heart, our liver, our lungs, our brain. We need all those restored. That's a very important word when you're thinking about sleep. And sleep also builds your memory, especially if you dream. Dreaming, REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep is very important, and dream sleep is very important for you too. So is this a big deal? It is. 50 to 70 million people live on the brink of mental and physical collapse because of lack of sleep. Many of you on this call are or even if you're a stay-at-home mom, or if you're a working mom, or a single mom, or if you're a dad, you're going to all the events, and we all are functioning on what we would consider the least amount of sleep that we can actually function on, right? And so 60 million Americans suffer from insomnia and other sleep disorders. And unfortunately, when you go to the doctor and you tell them you're having trouble sleeping, they usually won't talk you through healthy habits or changes. They'll usually just want to give you a sedative, hypnotic, something like that. So everything, like we talked about last week, everything is cause, effect. There's a reason why you're having insomnia. Sleep is also important because it releases important hormones. Certain hormones are only released and regulated at night, as you sleep. So there's a hormone called leptin, and this controls your appetite, which of course controls your weight, and it helps you feel full. So if you don't have enough leptin being released because you're not sleeping well or sleeping long enough, you're going to be hungry. You're not going to feel full. And then we have growth hormone, and that's more important in the adolescent years. So, your teenagers, they need 10 hours of sleep. It's really important that they get a lot of sleep. And then for everyone, adults, ghrelin is another hormone, and that triggers your appetite. And if you have the wrong level of ghrelin, then of that hormone, you're going to always be hungry. It's always going to be triggering because it's low because of lack of sleep. So you're hopefully starting to see a picture how sleep affects a lot more than just fatigue, and especially if you're trying to get leaner and lose some weight. It also slows the aging process. Hallelujah, right? We want to do that. Beauty rest is true. How well you sleep can actually predict how long you may live. And I know when I worked in nursing homes, Carlita can probably say this is true in her field. When you talk to elderly people that are 80, 90 years old, when you say, wow, what was your secret? They almost always say, I went to bed early. Always got my sleep, right? They always go to sleep at 8 or 9 and get up early, but sleep is a major part of that equation. So to give you more background on the immune system, I told you it boosts the immune system. It recharges the immune system. Why is that important? Well, people who sleep, they've done studies, and people who sleep 9 hours a night instead of 7, they have a greater than normal natural killer cell activity, which is your T cells. That's your immune system. And those are the cells that destroy viruses and bacteria, and yes, even cancer cells. And so when I got breast cancer, I evaluated every aspect of my life, and I realized that the sleep thing was a factor. And my immune system was so fatigued and distraught. It wasn't recharging at all. It wasn't restored at all. And so my body wasn't able to fight it as well as it could have. So if you find yourself getting sick a lot, you catch everything at the office or everything that goes through the school, your kids bring it home, and your system just doesn't fight back. That means your immune system is not working properly because it's created to help destroy some of those things. It also, sleep improves brain function. A lot of people walk around and say, I feel like I'm in a fog, or I just can't remember things, or I just have having trouble forgetting. And we know that lots of studies show that sleep deprivation decreases brain activity, and it's definitely related to alertness and learning performance, okay? And that, again, that's really important for your kids to get their sleep. Sleep also reduces cortisol levels. So cortisol is another hormone, and that's a stress hormone. And you might think, good grief, why did God give us a stress hormone? It's good because whenever you are in a stressful situation, you might have to lift a car off your kid, right? Or somebody, pulls a knife on you in the alley. You need cortisol because that helps your heart rate to increase. It helps you to be able to get through stressful situations. And so that's good, but we have to have the appropriate level of that, right? Because when we don't, then that extra cortisol becomes belly fat, okay? So excessive stress raises cortisol levels, and that disrupts a lot of the balances in the brain, causing you to be also more irritable, prone to depression, anxiety, and insomnia, and that creates the whole cascade all over again. So again, I'm just trying to paint you a picture of sleep is a lot more than just being tired when you're trying to go through your next day. You also increase your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. It's been shown that even 3 to 4 hours deficit a night over a course of a week affected the body's ability to process carbohydrates. And just like we talked about last week, when it can't process those, that's going to spike your blood sugar, and that's going to create insulin, and that can put you in a pre-diabetic state. Of course, you're not going to go pre-diabetic in 1 week, but what we're saying is over the course of time, I know, I'm just telling you from experience, it becomes a lifestyle that you think you can survive on 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night. I know, because I've been there. I've lived that life, right? Sometimes it was the only time that I had me time, right? The only time I could read a book, the only time I could do the laundry. Or your kid tells you at 11 o'clock at night, I need this ironed, I need this washed, I need a poster for an event tomorrow, right? And so I understand, but it becomes a lifestyle habit, and over the course of time really can affect your weight and your blood sugars in that aspect. You also can become kind of sleep drunk. Lack of sleep slows your reaction time, shortens your attention span. And that paragraph at the bottom was really shocking to me when I was doing a research on this. People who go for up to 19 hours without sleep, which you might think that's a long time, but if you're only getting 5 or 6 hours a night, you're going 19 hours without sleep, right? And so those people who got 19 hours or less without sleep, they were worse on alertness than people with a blood alcohol level of 0.08, which is legally drunk. So we have lots of sleepy people driving cars. And let's face it, you're not going to be able to live out your life purpose like that, right? You're not going to be on top of what you're supposed to be doing for yourself, your family, and your business if you're sleep drunk. You also invite a host of physical conditions that are associated with insomnia: chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, chronic pain syndrome, autoimmune diseases that rely on your system, being recharged so that doesn't happen, high blood pressure, obesity, depression, and a lot of other forms of mental illnesses, all tied to insomnia. Those people that had those diseases either, recognized that they kind of started with insomnia, or that was also a significant disease state tied to those. So if you don't have any of those yet, get your sleep. We don't want any of those. So you snooze, you lose, right? That's usually been a negative phrase, but tonight that's a positive phrase. And so after multiple studies, and especially this study that I was reading about, after crunching the numbers on more than 1,000 participants, the researchers found that roughly 8 hours of sleep correlates with lower body mass index, so lower, body fat, lower levels of ghrelin, which is a hormone that triggers appetite, and higher levels of leptin, which is a hormone that signals that the body's full. So just going from 8 hours of sleep down to 5 hours of sleep caused an increase in body mass index over time, and it caused a decrease in leptin, which tells your body it's full, so you're not going to feel full, you're going to have appetite problems. And then the ghrelin is also going lower. So that creates a huge problem right there in and of itself in regard to weight loss. This gives you even more of a picture of how not just the leptin and the ghrelin, but how sleep affects weight loss. So you've got less sleep over here, and let's face it, if you're not sleeping, that gives you more time to eat, right? So less sleep equals more time to eat. And when you have less sleep and you're eating more, you're going to have less physical activity. People who are tired don't want to work out, okay? They don't have any energy. And so that gives you that problem. Then you've got the low leptin and the high ghrelin, and that's going to increase your hunger, and you're going to be making bad decisions because you don't feel full. You can also choose high-calorie food. People, when they feel hungry, they choose usually high-carb foods to satisfy them. And then at the bottom, less sleep leads to fatigue, and fatigue prompts more food consumption. A lot of times you're fatigued and you think, wow, I need to eat something. You're tired. You need to sleep instead of eat. And so that can be a little bit more confusing, and all of that can lead to weight gain. And our bodies need 7 to 9 hours, 7 to 8 hours, but 7 to 9 hours is really good. So some of the things that rob us of sleep: pain, we know if you have chronic pain; caffeine. You might have heard last week, I'm not a fan of caffeine. It's a stimulant. So a lot of times people will go to their Starbucks during the day, and then they'll drink caffeine and sodas. And even if it's at noon or something, and then they're like, man, I just cannot sleep. And then they're on Ambien and these kind of things. The first thing to do is take the stimulant out of your life and then see if you are able to sleep. If not, then you can be a detective and look at some of these other areas. Nicotine and alcohol rob your sleep. Medications can change that. Sometimes food insomnia. If you eat a high sugar snack or meal late in the evening, that can keep you from resting. Sometimes it's just your environment. Maybe you have too much light going on in your room. Maybe you have your bed isn't comfortable. Maybe you have a snoring person in your room. Whatever it is, that you can address that. You can control that. So 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night is what you need. Now, these are a few pointers for increasing your sleep, but the number one thing that I would say that I'm trying to inspire you to get to is just make it a priority. Make it a priority, okay? The first thing you can do is stick to a regular sleep schedule. And that's important. You need to set a schedule where you say, I'm always going to get in bed by 11 o'clock, or I'm always going to get in bed by 10, whatever it is that works for you. If you are someone who works a lot of different shifts, that's not really healthy. So you need to try to get on a good schedule. If you are someone that says, I don't sleep well at night, I can't go to sleep very quickly, then don't take naps. Keep yourself up, and then you'll be tired. Avoid stressful activities and strenuous exercise at least 2 hours before bed. That gets your heart rate up, gets your body temperature up, gets your brain going, and you really need to cool down before you go to sleep. And so you don't want to heat up any area before you're going to hop into bed. Practicing relaxation techniques. This was huge for me. When I started looking at my life, and sleep and stress were two factors that I had to change in my life. And whenever I was thinking about yoga and meditation, which can be prayer or just relaxation and breathing, that sounded kind of hokey to me. And after I implemented it into my life, it's probably been one of the most valuable things that I've done. And the breathing especially, and we're going to talk about that in a minute for stress, but the breathing especially, I set my alarm on my phone so that 5 times a day when it would go off, I would take 10 full breaths, diaphragmatic breaths where you breathe all the way in, hold it for a second, and breathe all the way out 10 times. It's so life-changing and relaxing. Most of the time you breathe real shallow. You don't even breathe what we call diaphragmatically. You just breathe shallow. And so that will help a lot, and especially before you go to bed. Create a restful environment that's dark, comfortable, and quiet. You know, melatonin is the thing that kicks in your brain when it gets dark. If you are watching a big, huge, bright TV screen trying to go to sleep in front of the TV, that's probably not going to work because your body's like, well, it's still light. I don't see the darkness. And so it's not going to release that. And so make sure that you have that. It's a good idea to get into bed and not turn on the TV or look at your phone if you can. Keep it dark. If you do need to read, keep a lamp, but keep it as dark as possible if you're wanting to go to sleep and stay asleep. I recommend that you utilize phone apps. I have a phone app that tells me it's time to go to bed, Heidi. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm trying to create all these new habits. I had to have that voice of reason to say, nope, it's time to go to bed. Using phone apps, using phone alarms, and developing the habit. You could sit here all day and say, my goal is to get better and more sleep this year. But until you have something that's going to help you create the habit, it probably won't happen. So utilize what you can. We also have the sleep spray. This stuff has changed my world. As I was trying to learn to develop better sleep habits, I was also going through the after effects of going through cancer and 5 surgeries, and I wasn't sleeping well. And this helped me so much. I use this every night, and it does a great job. The main ingredient is melatonin, and we use vegan melatonin. So plants also use melatonin, not for sleep. They use it for other things, but that's our source. And there's a 2 milligram dosage shown on there, but you can adjust that dosage according to the sprays. It also has the chamomile, the hops, the valerian, the passion flower, and all of that causes you to relax. But in order to get the best effect with this, you want to do the other things and then do the sleep spray. You don't want to hype up on caffeine all day and then try to use the sleep spray and go, oh, this stuff doesn't work, okay? You've got to put it all together on purpose and make it a priority in your life. Okay, there's also a great article I just made a slide of this for anyone that listens, that does, I didn't want to speak it and it not be caught. Shape magazine. So just Google Shape magazine, and it's why sleep is the number one most important thing for a better body. And it has a subtitle, even with the very best diet and fitness routine, if your sleep is off, you're a wreck. And if your sleep is off, you're probably not going to be able to lose a lot of weight. Your body thinks it's in stress mode, and it's going to hang on to every calorie and everything it can because you're not giving it enough of what it needs. Okay. Fourth pillar, exercise. I only have 2 slides on this because I am not a trainer. I'm not going to go into exercising. The main thing I want to hopefully inspire you to do more research on is that we should be exercising regularly, not to lose weight, but because it prevents every disease known to man, right? You should be exercising regularly, and that's not popping in the gym here and there. Again, it needs to be a healthy habit for you that you put on your calendar, and it's non-negotiable. Every day it's non-negotiable, or at least 3 or 4 times a week. And it doesn't have to be hard. It could be walking. One of the ladies I've been working with for the past 4 months as a health health coach, she's lost 50 plus pounds changing her nutrition, but just walking. Okay. She's just walking, but it's a regular habit. Things on here that I would love for you guys just to take to heart, the benefits of exercise, so that when you go to the gym, you don't go, man, I come here every day and don't lose weight. You're preventing cancer. You're preventing heart attacks. You're preventing heart disease. You're improving your lymphatic flow, which is part of your immune system. And I can tell you that for sure. I had lymph nodes removed from under my arm, and if I exercise or don't exercise, I can tell I get swelling. It doesn't flow as well. As long as I'm regularly exercising, I'm going to have a much better lymphatic flow, and that's going to affect my immune system. It also lowers stress. It promotes weight loss, of course, and decreases your appetite. And then, man, it helps prevent diabetes. It controls your blood sugar. It increases perspiration, which is your detoxification. It slows the aging process. It builds strong bones. Most people don't understand that your bones are constantly rebuilding themselves. And you need to do weight-bearing activities so that your bones will get strong. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So exercise also improves digestion and bowel movements. If you sit in a seminar all day, or you're sitting in a car or on an airplane all day, you're going to get stopped up, right? Moving around actually creates better digestion and bowel movements. Exercise gives you restful sleep, reduces depression, it releases endorphins, feel-good hormones, and so it will help your depression. Exercise improves memory, and it may slow Alzheimer's and prevent Parkinson's. A lot of studies out with that because of the hormones that it releases and all these other things that it does. So I hope this improves your why for why you need to exercise. And remember, it's always better to do than feel, because I do not feel like exercising a lot of the times, but do then feel, and keep your body strong and healthy with the exercise. That brings us to stress, okay? Stress is more than a bad mood. What is it? It's, we know there's physiological and psychological responses. And God created our bodies to deal with stress. And we actually have something called eustress. That might be a new word for you guys, but that's good stress. That's what keeps us doing things like, man, I got to get this report done, or I'm going to get fired. Man, I got to get my calendar full, or I'm not going to get a paycheck. That's good stress, right? There's also bad stress, which can keep us in what we call fight or flight all the time. So when you get stressed, your body kind of goes into this fight or flight situation. And I like to tell people there's a red zone, and that's when your body is in the sympathetic zone. That means it is on high alert. Your heart rate is increasing, your blood pressure is increasing, your body's kind of stressed out. It's actually producing more insulin so that you can have that blood sugar working for you if you need to lift a car off your kid. But your body is prepared in that state. Unfortunately, what we know to be true about Americans is that instead of coming out of that fight or flight kind of zone, red zone, people stay in it all the time. And that is damaging to your body. So you have a couple of things you can actually do to get yourself out of the fight or flight into the green zone, which is the parasympathetic zone. And that's the relaxation zone where your body just, the natural responses like digestion, breathing, blood flow, all of those happen naturally, and you don't have to have resources for those. And that's where you want to live most of your day, is in the parasympathetic or the green zone, okay? So the hormones are going to start preparing you for this fight or flight. Like I said, you're going to have increased pulse rate, blood pressure, tense muscles. And usually when the stressful situation is dealt with, the system is meant to go back to normal. But like I said, studies are showing that sometimes, I've read studies that 75 or 80% of Americans live in fight or flight. And that's part of why we're seeing a lot of these diseases so much earlier in life. So I want to show you real quickly how it affects some of your systems. The immune system, constant fight or flight, stress causes your body to be in that all the time. And when your immune system is always switched on, it gets worn out. It's like if you left the light on at your house all the time, it's going to burn out. And so you're going to get sick more often and be more susceptible to viruses, infections, because the stress is wearing out your immune system. How does it affect your heart and your circulatory? We know that it's tied to high blood pressure. In fact, a lot of the medications that we give are strictly to get you out of fight or flight and relax that whole system, to tell your body you're not in fight or flight. Also, blood clots, arrhythmias, coronary artery disease, heart attack. How many times have you seen somebody pass away and they're like, oh my gosh, he was a marathon runner. He worked out. He was thin. Stress. Stress is more than a bad mood, okay? So heart attack and heart failure are tied to stress. How does it affect the muscles? We know constant tension can lead to a lot of neck, shoulder, and low back pain. Arthritis and inflammation can be made worse. How does it affect your gastrointestinal system? If you're stressed, it can actually cause GERD. I know I was a stressed out type A person all through college and early part of my married and family, and definitely caused me a lot of problems. I had reflux, I had peptic ulcer disease, I had IBS, and I've cured all that naturally. And Arbonne products have helped me do that, and also healthy habits have helped me do that. So definitely affects your digestion and your stomach. And I'm telling you things that some people on here don't want to hear, because you don't want to. A lot of times when you have a disease or a symptom, you don't want to hear that it's something you're doing that is causing it. You want to hear that, oh, you just have this disease and you just need to take this pill. But you got to put it back on you. I put it back on me. I took ownership for all the bad things that were happening to me. All the bad things were from bad unhealthy choices. Reproductive organs, we know that when you're really stressed out, it affects all that. Problems, painful menstruation, and we know when you're trying to have kids and you're having trouble, they tell you to relax, Stress can make symptoms of COPD and asthma worse. And then the skin, we know that it worsens skin problems. People with psoriasis and eczema and acne, they have more breakouts and more trouble when they're stressed, right? We know that's true. And we always get a zit or a breakout or something right before a big event, and that's because of stress. And then lastly, because it affects the brain. When a stressful situation occurs, the body reacts with an outpouring of these stress hormones, adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol. And if that keeps going on and on and on, those are actually toxins that your body has to get rid of. When they stick around, we know studies have shown that the prolonged flood of these stress hormones can actually shrink certain brain areas, especially in an area called the hippocampus, which has to do with memory. So have you ever been really stressed out and you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't have my act together. I can't remember things. I'm forgetting things. And I feel like I'm in a fog. And part of that is because of the stress hormones that are floating around in there as well. So stress affects every part of your health, and especially weight loss, okay? So under stress, your body is going to release those hormones, corticotropins, adrenaline, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. That's actually going to stimulate glucose. And remember from last week, when you have a high blood sugar, high glucose, then your pancreas is going to pump out more insulin, and that is going to stimulate fat storage, weight gain, and then prediabetes, and that's that bad cycle we don't want to get in. So this is how stress directly affects weight. And then this just kind of repeats that, but the reason I wanted to show you this slide is because what it says in the yellow, warning, the American Medical Association attributes 60% of all human illness and disease is directly or indirectly caused by stress. So make it a priority. How can you reduce stress? I'll give you a couple of things that worked for me. First, you have to identify the triggers. Okay, what is it for you that stresses you out? Is it traffic? You know, is it when you're late? Is it dealing with certain people? Is it something about your job? Is whatever it is, you need to identify the trigger, then make adjustments to either remove that trigger, set healthy boundaries, that kind of thing. Another thing, again, is breathe. When you take even just 10 diaphragmatic breaths, it tells your body, you know what? She's okay. She's not in a fight, or she's not in an emergency right now. She's okay. She's going to be fine. And so it puts you back in the green zone. Just breathing tells your body, those big deep breaths, you don't need to be in fight or flight. Add, you know, the calming exercises, the meditation. And I know I'm telling you, when I first started researching this, it sounded like, how's that going to help? It really will help. I promise. You just have to try a few things and be on purpose. I'm someone, when I'm stressed, I don't portray it outwardly. I just deal with it, right? You just put your big girl pants on and get her done. But your body's dealing with it internally. You're internalizing stress. And so I've learned to listen to my body. And now I know when I'm stressed versus before I was just doing life. Exercising regularly can reduce your stress, build margin in your life, right? Don't plan things from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4, from 4 to 5, because in theory that might look good on paper. It's not going to happen that way in life. You're going to get stuck in traffic. Things aren't going to work out. You're going to get held back at the dentist office. Give yourself margin, and in that margin is where you breathe and you take care of you, okay? And then obviously your sleep. Okay, so I've just got about 3 slides here to just touch on and build your curiosity with the probiotics and the prebiotics. I really encourage you to do your own research on how important. I know Carlita went to continuing education last year on how gut health affects your whole life, and she could probably do a 2-hour seminar for us. That's how crazy effective your gut health is for your whole body. But we have 100 trillion of these bacteria. The human microbiome is made up of more than 100 trillion of these bacteria, protozoa, viruses that live inside your body. And we have 10 times more microbacteria in our body than human cells, and the majority of it lives in your gut, especially the large intestine and gut, small intestine, large intestine, or colon. This lists a few things that it does. It can extract energy from food. I don't know about you, but if I eat good food, I want my energy from that food. You need good bacteria to do that. It also produces essential vitamins. These guys are helping you out in there. They are regulating our immune system. I've seen numbers from 70, 75, all the way up to 90% of your immune system is due to gut health, a healthy gut. Regulates your glucose levels and metabolism. Well, there you go. It goes right back to weight loss and your glucose levels, your insulin, and how that affects your weight loss. And it also protects us against disease-causing microbes. So those are just a few things. And this is a busy slide, and I'm not going to go over all of these. Again, I just wanted you to have this slide so that you could refer back to it. But we're more bacteria than we are human, and so obviously this is going to affect our health. And this is a new area of science and research. They're just now learning all the different areas that your gut bacteria can affect in your life. And so it's amazing. It's amazing. Be curious, watch videos, check it out. And as far as for what the difference is between probiotics and prebiotics, because we have the Digestion Plus, which has digestive enzymes, probiotics, and prebiotics. This slide tells you, makes it pretty simple that probiotics, those are the microorganisms that live in the gut. And probiotic foods, you can eat probiotic foods, but if you see the list down there, they're kind of strange foods. Everything but yogurt, and I think that's spelled wrong because this probably was from Europe. But yogurt actually is a good source of probiotics. The only thing is you have to make sure that your yogurt has live microorganisms in it. Some of those other things, I don't know about you, but they're not a regular part of my diet, so that's why I supplement with probiotics from Arbonne. Then you've got your prebiotics, and that's food for the probiotics. They help the healthy population of the microbes. By eating the prebiotic foods, you can eat those listed below, will give you prebiotics for the probiotics to eat. Again, those prebiotic foods are not the most popular foods in your diet, okay? The chicory, the Jerusalem artichoke, dandelion greens, we actually have that in the green tea. But again, that's why most of us want to supplement in that area. But if you like those foods, that's going to give you some sources of prebiotics and probiotics. And so the difference is the probiotics are alive, usually bacteria or yeast, aid digestion, and all those health benefits we've talked about. The prebiotics are a form of fiber, a food for the probiotics, okay? And the list the sources there. It's like a Pac-Man. So here are 9 proven health benefits of good gut bacteria, and this list is going to grow and grow and grow and grow over the next 5 years. It's going to be a major part of the health and wellness revolution that's going on here. It strengthens your immune system, it reduces yeast infections, improves your mood and mental health. So if you'd like to maybe get off some of those antidepressants, this is one of those things you should definitely try. And I've mentioned mood and mental health in sleep, in stress, in exercise, and probiotics. 4 ways to improve your mental health that we've talked about tonight. Okay, there are things that you can do that can help you get off some of the medications, hopefully, and feel better. 4, it always boosts your energy levels when you have good gut bacteria, improves your oral and dental health, supports weight loss, lowers cholesterol, which improves heart health, regulates your hormone levels, and contributes to a longer heart healthy life. And why do we need to supplement this? Because of all the stress, lack of sleep, lack of exercise, and all of the processed foods and genetically modified foods that we eat, we're not getting the right gut bacteria from that. And so that's why we're all hurting in that area. Okay, so Digestion Plus from Arbonne has your prebiotics that feed the probiotics, and it has digestive enzymes. I think it has 11 of those in there, and you can just add it to water, a juice, but I add it to my shake. I don't even taste it. Some people just shoot it. It doesn't taste bad, and it's a powder. It has live bacteria. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. Amazing product. Also, you might not know this, but our immunity boosters have a prebiotic in them. It's called Saccharomyces. And then our Fiber Boost has pectin, and pectin is a prebiotic. Most prebiotics are fiber. And so we are getting extra prebiotics in those products as well. And then, like I said, the herbal tea has dandelion, which is got probiotics in the dandelion greens. So hopefully now you have a little bit more knowledge to make some better choices. But again, I want to encourage you to do your own research. Find one way that you can work on, if you need to work on sleep, exercise, stress, and this area of gut health, find one thing that you can do to put some action to this knowledge, because knowledge plus action equals wisdom. You could read 1,000 books about gut health but never do anything about it, and nothing changes, right? You have to decide what you want to do about it. And our products are supporting every part of what we've talked about tonight, in, helping your body recharge, the energy, the weight loss. It just all comes together. And it's great that we have one company that understands what true wellness is and understands the way that the body works. I love that about Arbonne. Thanks, Carlita.
Thank you, Heidi. That information, you guys, is just powerful. And I love how you're tying it in together with everything else that we do with just our healthy living, program. And you guys, one thing I want to say, because sometimes I've heard this happen where our program is called 30 Days to Healthy Living. And then people are like, well, what do I do after my 30 days? And we're in the middle of our 30 days of healthy living for a lot of you. And what I want you guys to know is that it's a lifestyle. I mean, I argued in the committee when we were putting this all together with Arbonne that we just call it healthy living as a lifestyle, or just leave off the 30 days and call it healthy living, because it's what it is. And that is, we're just adding on to what that 30 days is, because every single thing we do with the products and the things that Heidi gave us, so many life-saving tips and life-giving tips. You guys, some people can be alive, but they don't feel like it. I mean, it's worse to be alive and be sick than it is to be done, And this is where I hope that you will, even though you don't feel like it, just like she talked about some of those slides, you don't have the energy to get up and exercise or to, want to make the right choices because of how you feel. But what I hope is that you will realize that you're never gonna, I've said this so many times this week, you're never gonna feel your way into action. You're going to have to act your way into feeling. But when you do, you're going to feel so good, and you're going to get to live life like you've never gotten to live before, because you're going to feel like you've never gotten to feel before. And there's, a lot of information that we're dumping at you in this 30 days that you're with us. But I will tell you, like she said, pick one. Just pick a few things. And what I love about the 30 Days to Healthy Living, or the Arbonne nutrition products, is that it makes it thinkless. Like, all of this can be overwhelming if you haven't had healthy habits in your life. But if you just live in that little world that Arbonne gives us with the products, they make it thinkless. I mean, I tell people, you will not make innocent mistakes if you live in this world. And if you live in it one time a day, you're 33.3% better than you were doing without any of it. If you do 2 meals a day, you're 66.6% better. You're absolutely going to see, and most importantly, feel changes in your health, because you're making that 33 to 66% difference in your life in a positive way. So that's a thinkless way to do it. And so you don't even really have to think about, what you're doing there. So then you have more time to focus on the things that Heidi has shared with us these last couple of weeks. I mean, I've been, studying up and reading more about carbs and fiber, like she talked about last week. And that's where I'm learning and growing in my journey with all of you guys this week, and deepening my awareness. It's not that I didn't know it, but I'm paying attention to it, because I'm in here with you, all of you, and we're iron that's sharpening each other's iron and getting us all better. We're all at a different place in our journey, you guys, and wherever you are, you celebrate you, because you have taken the step in the right direction, and that's going to help you realize you want to take more steps in this direction. And we will do all that we can to support you beyond this. But just what I want to say is, don't stop at the 30 days, you guys. Let this be a lifestyle. Do it at whatever pace you have to do it, but let this become your lifestyle, so that you can truly enjoy life the way that it was intended for you to be. And our bodies were made so perfect, you guys. If you do these things, I love how Heidi talked about so many things. We're not doctors. We're not, making medical claims. But what we're doing is helping you realize that when you give your body what it needs and what it was meant to have, your body will respond back to you in the exact same way. So many things that we have and we're dealing with, we're creating. Like she said, we have to take responsibility. So I'm repeating some of those things, but I just love this information. Heidi and I are like one and the same. We're sisters from another mother, and we can go on and on and on about this. And so I'm just so grateful that you have partnered with me this month, and I'm excited to hear from Sarah next week, you guys. And then we'll just see what else we can do to help empower you all to take control of your health, and then turn around and be that beacon of hope and light for the people that your life touches. So Heidi, I think you have some great comments down there from people that are just grateful for you and what you have done to help all of us. So you guys, congratulations on your journey. I'm so proud of you for being here in the middle of the month. So many people have fallen off the New Year's resolutions by now. So pat yourself on the back and be proud of what you are doing.
Yes, and don't believe the lie that you have to live. Like I believed the lie so long that I'm just stressed and I can't change anything. That, you know, get some accountability. Talk to Carlita, talk to me. There are baby steps you can make. And of all the things I talked about, that word stress is overused, and it's probably the most powerful thing you could change is the stress that you have in your life.
Even if you have a good life, you guys, you can be stressed out.
Yes.
I mean, I have a great life, but I know I'm stressed out. And so, I mean, and I know I do the least in that area. I exercise, I eat pretty good. I just don't manage my stress as well as I should. And this year, I'm my challenge, you know, I'm making me my challenge and doing things that I'm putting into my daily habit. And I have to make an appointment on my calendar. I mean, if I don't put it in my calendar, it's just how I started exercising. I used to not exercise and didn't really love it. But I had to put an appointment in my calendar so that I started protecting that time. So when people ask me for an appointment, I would say, I'm booked. You know, they didn't know I was booked with an exercise appointment for myself, but I was booked. And the only way I protected me was putting me on my calendar. And so that's what I would encourage all of you to do for whatever things you want to add to your schedule. If it's going to sleep on time, or if it's, you know, doing yoga, that's another thing I'm working on, because I believe highly in keeping your core strength and your flexibility. If you don't have to be in the gym pumping weights or, you know, doing killer cardio, if you can just keep core strength and flexibility and do a little walk. Huh?
Yoga is a lot of breathing.
It is. They say that's really the biggest part of the practice is breathing more than it is the movements, but you'll get some of that strength and flexibility because of that. So those are just little things. Give yourself grace, but take steps in the right direction, you guys, because you will love how you feel. And we're just passionate about it because we've all been where, you know, further back in our journey, and we've seen the positive results of doing some of these things. And so that's why we get excited to try to share it with all of you.
Well, I mean, don't wait until you get cancer. I mean, I didn't make very many changes in my life at all until the rug had been pulled out from under me. And I don't want that for anybody.
Right. Yeah. And I know that's your passion, dear. So, and I love how you're using something hard for good. Proud of you.
Thank you.